Right this minute, or you mean?
Right this second. 20 seconds to go, and it was 20 seconds to 7, so I can record.
As long as we don't turn our microphones on, you'll just see us, right?
Sing along with this.
Okay, yeah, turn mine on.
No, I'm good. I had a cough too last week. I was absent for a day. It's been going around the school.
I'd like to call this meeting of the Lammersville Unified School District Board to order at 7 o'clock. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Matthew Balzerini.
Here.
Sharon Lampel.
Here.
Shane Nielsen.
Here.
David Pombo.
Here.
Michaela Vergara.
Here.
Pasa Pungchai.
Here.
Approval and/or corrections to the agenda.
There are none.
I move we approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5, receiving of public comments. Although I have a speaker card here, the speaker is not present. Therefore, we will move on to item 6, acknowledgement.
We have a very special and talented 8th grade student who's now a freshman at Mountain House High School, who last year's science fair project is being acknowledged by the Broadcom Masters as a semifinalist. We were going to acknowledge her in person, and she was unable to meet tonight's commitment, so we're here to acknowledge Sangeetha Bharath, in absentia, I guess, but we would like to bring her out at some point in time. She's a really special kid, and this is a pretty special honor on her part in representing our district.
Moving on to item 7, consent items for consideration.
I'll move for approval of the consent items as presented.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, district administrative reports, superintendent's report.
Here on the dais, there are as an invite from the San Joaquin County School Boards Association, and I've been requested in my report to get a report from our board members who would like to attend the event. I'll go.
Yes.
Yes.
You said yes also, didn't you, Shane?
We got 3 going, that's fine.
We can all go.
We can all go.
We're not going to take action there.
I'll go. Yeah, why,
It's okay.
in trouble.
No, we can go.
Yeah, but
Beef. Beef.
Yeah.
okay, there we go. Moving on to our enrollment report. Our enrollment this time around is 3,457 students.
Moving on to item 9, governing board reports.
We missed you, Mr. Nielsen.
I went to Mountain House High School football game last Thursday night, and we won. I still don't remember what the score was, but that's unimportant. We won.
So I too was at the football game, and it was very exciting to have Congressman Jerry McNerney open up the game and do the coin toss.
Is it possible to get clarification on the last few games of the season? They say TBA as far as location, this Friday, for example.
So if it, I know some of them say TBA, but if it says versus, it's at home. If it says at,
So we did, okay, all right, cool.
Item 10, Governing Board Committee Reports.
The Facility Use Committee will be meeting on Monday, the 6th at 6:30. The agenda will be going out tonight or tomorrow? First thing in the morning. Thank you.
Moving on to item 11, action items. Item A, consider approval of updated fundraisers for the 2014-2015 school year.
It was requested of staff to go out and make sure that there was consistency amongst the fundraisers that were listed. We had 3 of our schools come back and amend their what they put forward the first time. So this is a amended list, more accurate with all the events consistent with the, in particular at the K-8 level, across the board.
I move we approve the updated fundraisers for the 2014-15 school year.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, consider approval of second reading and adoption of revised board policy administrative regulation exhibit 1240 volunteers.
This is what we believe is an improvement to our volunteer policy. Essentially, it adds a application process and an expectation for fingerprinting. The fingerprinting cost would be borne by the volunteer.
I move we approve and adopt revised board policy and administrative regulation 1240.
I would request that there was a typo in there, that before it get published, that we fix the typo. It's not a substantial correction. It's in the very first paragraph. There's a 7 in the middle of a word. It's just a
So
typo.
we actually researched that, and we thought, did that come from the board policy that was currently adopted or not? It looks like there was a function 7 that was hit, and it had a stroke of a finger, so that's already been corrected.
I've done that myself when I type, so I understand how it can happen. That was the only thing I read through it, and I'm happy with it.
We still need a second, I believe.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, consider approval of participation in outdoor education for Altamont Elementary 6th grade students at New Horizons Loma Mar in Pescadero.
So we had a group of students at Altamont who we requested space in the Jones Gulch Science Camp region for reasons beyond our ability to control it. One group of class of kids was unable to be put into that program, so we found an outdoor private program, which is the New Horizons Loma Mar, which is in Pescadero, which is right down from La Honda, which is where Jones Gulch is and the like. So we recommend that for this unique situation that the kids be able to attend science camp through this program to make sure all our kids get the experience.
Just for clarification, is that all the Altamont 6th graders?
It's one class of students from Altamont. Is it all? Oh, my error.
Yeah.
And then the transportation's coming out of fundraising, is that right?
I move we approve the outdoor education for Altamont Elementary 6th grade students.
I'll second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I do have a question about outdoor camp, but I didn't bring it up before we voted on this because it doesn't have to do with Altamont. I heard that there's not enough slots for Wickland 6th graders to go to science camp, that there are fewer slots than we have registered 6th graders.
Dr. Gill can come up to the podium and address that.
Good evening. That's the beauty of being in Mountain House, because when we register our kids way back in March, April, that's when we are supposed to register. We register based on the projections of 5th grade kids, but we grow in every year, right? So this year we grew a lot in 6th grade. So Mr. Vergara did a fabulous job this past year. He knew that we will be opening Altamont, so he registered Altamont because Wickland and Cuesta go together. And so he had registered Altamont, but one class, so because at that time we only had one class. So since county is unable to take all of the Altamont kids because we grew from one class to two classes. So now, because we had one of our classes which is 30 kids, that gave them that extra 30 slots. Those are our slots. So we can adjust our own kids, Wickland and Cuesta, into those slots.
So Wickland will be using some of the Cuesta slots.
Not Cuesta slots. So originally we had signed up for, I'm going to throw a number that may not be exactly accurate. Let's say 150 kids, right? That included Cuesta, Altamont, Wickland.
Oh, because Altamont's all going somewhere else. I got it.
Correct. Now Altamont is going somewhere else. So yes, all of the other schools are okay. They are adjusting everybody else except Altamont, because they grew from one class to the other class, they couldn't adjust all of the kids.
Okay. Could you make sure that the principal relays that information to their foundation?
Sure.
Because there was a lot of concern that some students wouldn't be able to go.
No,
So
all
now
kids,
I see that
we
they can.
open it to all kids, yes.
Thank you.
Yes, sure.
And just to be clear, that means we have enough room for all of our sixth graders
correct.
to go somewhere to camp.
That is correct.
And if we have a better handle on the numbers next year, this won't be a problem. We'll just apply for more slots at Camp Jones Gulch
Correct.
for next year.
Correct.
Thank you.
We're going to be growing next year, too.
Sure.
Not this much in sixth grade.
Yeah.
Item 12, information and discussion items.
D.
Oh, I got ahead of myself. Sorry about that. Item D, consider approval of contract revision with Valley Crest for landscape services district-wide.
So one of our challenges is we have beautiful schools. They have beautiful landscaping which require watering and all this other stuff. And we have staff that has their work full. So this is a request to expand what we are asking Valley Crest to do to better handle some of that work. It would be a cost savings measure in the sense that we wouldn't be expanding staff, but these are currently services they provide us. We're just simply all of the schools, this would expand to all of the schools except for the high school in Altamont who are on a 1-year warranty. So we think this will be a better way to maintain the facilities we have at present.
Did we get any bids from any other landscape providers?
Not for this, no.
Just because it's an extension of the current
Correct.
contract? Okay.
Are they going to try to resolve some of the continuing issues we have at Wickland and Bethany with regards to the conditions of the fields? Super.
And old gopher tunnels that have collapsed, all of the above. In fact, Alvina and I were out walking collapsed gopher tunnels a week and a half ago.
Were you intentionally collapsing them, or?
She
just-
tried to make me fall down, but I did not.
Better
I-
be nice
I
to
would
your
like to-
staff, Dr. Nicholas.
I would like to commend Alvina. I believe we need
I'll move for approval of the contract revision with Valley Crest for landscaping services district-wide, with the exception of the 2 new sites.
Second.
discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we can move on to item 12, which is information and discussion items.
So we have a perfect example of why we use technology today. So Noelle is going to show us what the before and after, and then we're going to talk a little bit about a document that we're calling the 2014-15 LUSD Data Tracker. So from the mind of a madman is the document that you see in front of you here, and that magically through the art of technology became this.
Wow.
So what this is, and is an attempt to identify all the areas where we can measure student progress. And so I'm going to use this screen over. I'll use it here with my left hand. Okay, over here. So if you take a look in the kind of rose-colored sections, those are the measurables that were board adopted when we adopted our strategic plan last December. So you have read and comprehend in first grade, read and write in fourth grade, algebra proficient or ready, in 8th grade and graduate college and career ready. But we have all these things happening in between those benchmarks that we have to keep track of as well. So what we've put together is kind of a flow chart of all the different places we can identify data points. So if you move along the spectrum here, you have our ability through MAP and through Compass Learning and through our units of study and the data that comes out of them to track all of the progress of students by grade starting in K and moving through reading and comprehending in 1st grade and reading and writing in 4th grade. Now in the light blue area here are needs to be developed in our district over the next year or two. We don't have a focused, comprehensive, fact-based reading shift. I mean, we're planning it, it's being worked into the units of study, but as it goes from what it has been in the past, which is mostly focused on stories and literary analysis, to reading documents that are fact-based, we have to build that into the units K-12. The other thing is I went to a presentation which was focused on early childhood literacy. It was by Michael Dukakis' daughter. She runs a program through the Clinton Foundation called Too Little to Fail, Too Small to Fail. And one of the things that they talked a lot about is the research supports singing as one of the key components to developing phonemic awareness, or the ability to make sounds and recognize letters and shapes and stuff like that. So one of the things we added in here as a need is music opportunities for our little ones. And we're working on that as part of the project this year to expand the arts to kids, but it also has a purpose in our development of reading skills. The other thing that we don't currently have is a district-wide system for benchmarking writing. So I put into this flow chart, you can see that there should be a district-wide writing benchmark in the 4th grade, one in the 7th grade, and one in the 10th grade. It would be the model would be something where there was a district-wide prompt with a district-wide rubric and a district-wide calibration exercise, so we can see that what we say is one standard is consistent. So if this is a 3, if this writing assignment is a 3 and this one's a 4, that everybody has an agreement on what the rubric says and what the kids are able to produce. So those are some areas that we're going to continue to develop through our units of study. And then on and on into the high school stuff, there's so many data points from KC, PSAT, SAT, ACT, graduation rates, college acceptance rates. All of those things are data points that we can track and produce and say, okay, here's how we're doing in the area of college and career ready. So we tried to do some college colors in the middle, so this is the Cal Bears section. So you have all of the areas that we need to benchmark in ELA and math by grade level, and the areas like I already referenced with MAP and Compass and the units of study data. So those are for teacher collaboration time and our ability to discuss how students are doing and ultimately develop lessons with a strategic support planned in. In the yellow part, I did some research on national and state rankings. So there's a lot of publications out there, primarily U.S. News and Reports and Newsweek magazine, that likes to rank high schools and rank school districts and rank programs. So some of the things listed here in the gold part really talk about how they identify who are the best. So average AP test scores by total and by topic, percentage of student population taking AP tests, percentage of student enrolled in AP that are taking tests, percentage of total student enrollment in AP courses, 1 or more classes, and average SAT score. So over time, all of these things are going to come out, and we're going to have a number. We're going to have eventually 450 graduating seniors, and we're going to have AP scores and the amount of all of that stuff is data that we can produce. But we also believe as a team that we should look at what the best is doing, and the parts of our program that model after the best, we should look what the measures are. And so the gold part is how people are being defined as high performing beyond the California measures in the SBAC. And I should note that at the top here, 3rd through 8th grade and 11th grade is the SBAC data. And then in math, if you jump down, we also have Stanford represented, but not as big as Cal. In the red band. So we're going to identify technology benchmarks. There's a list, but it's not really been on the radar. So it's something that has to be built in. Like in kindergarten, these are the tech skills we'd like the kids to experience moving up through. So they are technology proficient as we bring in the technology that we've been working in. And then finally, in the green area, which doesn't represent a local Bay Area college, is the focus area subgroups, which are our subgroups that statistically show to be not performing at the level that other subgroups are. So we still have to maintain our focus on our Hispanic students, our African American students, our low socioeconomic students, our special education students, and EL students. So though, again, all data points within the same spectrum. And then in math, really, where you look at algebra ready or proficient in the 8th grade, the rose color kind of shows where we can measure how the kids are doing in 8th grade, but also what track and math pathway they're in, and ultimately what career pathway they fall in. So I wanted to bring this forward as a concept to say that we should be able to produce a massive amount of data, but massive amounts of data mean nothing if they're not tied to something logical and based on the goals within the strategic plan. So this is just a starting of a conversation, and we're gonna, as this data comes in, we'll be able to present to the board and our parents and the community. Here's how we're doing on our strategic plan benchmarks. Here's how we're doing by grade level with our units of study. Here's how we're doing on our Compass learning, time in Compass, and students moving up in their MAP scores. So I wanted to bring this out just to say that we had talked a lot about data beyond MAP, and so this is the first step at it, which is we have ample places to find how kids are doing with structured and systematic data pieces. So I wanted to present that to the board as an FYI. You're welcome.
This is a very nice document. I think I'll share the format.
Just don't share the drawing.
Can we get copies of the drawing?
It's on my board. So I want to compliment Noel, who translated a really complicated doodle into what is a very workable The last thing I'd like to say is our goal is when we shift to the new website, which I believe will be happening in the next couple of months, that we should be able to put this on the website, and then if someone's curious about first grade MAP scores, you should be able to click into something like this, and it brings up the data. So that's an interactive thing that is really desired, and that's what we intend to build. So, nice. The second one here is the district spelling bee, and we're looking for board volunteers, I believe, Dr. Gill, for helping in the judging process. Is that correct? November 6th.
Wait, getting there.
I will see if I can get the day off.
I can't do it.
I'm able to do it, but just to be clear, I don't need to know how to spell to be a judge, correct?
They give you the cheat sheet. Yeah, I have a principal's meeting too late.
Well, because I'm considering that, Really? Okay. So, because, like, I've been considering this, and, I went kind of far in the spelling bee last year, because I got third at state, and I'm actually considering that, because, I mean, it's, like, a part of my childhood, and I don't really want to do it in 9th grade, but I still want to be involved in it. Like,
Is there a way for a student to be involved?
Can we have a student judge?
We have not allowed that in the past because usually they have to be 18 and over. But that's something we can, I mean, this is the first time we're hearing that question, so sometimes if the question doesn't come up, we never have discussed it in the past. So definitely we can look at that and say if that's a possibility.
okay.
But we would love to have you as a speller also because you most probably would take us and make us famous again. Have you as a speller because this is your last opportunity. And from next year on, you won't be able to do it because 9th grade is it.
My last year.
Yes, this is your last opportunity to be a speller.
Casa? I'm sorry, go ahead.
If you choose not to do it, then let us know. We can definitely look into that if that we can allow that. Typically, we don't.
Mr. Pombo needs your help.
Could you spell for me?
What about future years, though, when I'm in, like, 10th and 11th and 12th grade? Can I come back here and... Okay.
That might be
Yeah, if it's legal for the spelling bee rules, I would be behind it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Or a speller. There are things you can do if you can't be a judge. So talk to Dr. Gill. Of course, there's the help from Mr. Pombo.
Moving on to item 13, calendar. Wednesday, October 15th is our next regularly scheduled board meeting. As was mentioned earlier, Monday, October 6th at 6:30 will be the Facilities Use Committee meeting. And this coming Friday at the homecoming parade will be at 4 p.m. and the game will be at 7 p.m. I think we're up to your part.
I move we adjourn to closed session.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are now adjourned to closed session. Thank you all for attending.